Dan here, Max's PL Videos, and today we're going to look at the Joyo Baatsin. Awesome. All right, so Joyo Baatsin. Really cool pedal coming out from Joyo. I personally believe that if you have picked yourself up, say, your first tube amp, this should be the first pedal that you pick up yourself after that. The reason being, oftentimes, you just got yourself a tube amp, well, get yourself an overdrive pedal. Like, well, what do I get? Do I get a tube screamer? Do I just get a classic boost? Do I get something that's a little more gritty? Do I get something that's got this, that's got that? And this lets you try all those. Now, I say try just like a modeler, right? Now, this is all analog as far as I'm aware, but just like a modeler, you're not going to get 100% the same sound. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, it's got an 808 sound, it's probably going to sound a bit different than a regular, off-the-shelf 808. Could sound better to your ear, could sound a little worse, but at least it lets you try that 808 sound through your amp. And there's a bunch of cool options on here. It's got all sorts of different levels of gain. It's got all sorts of different levels of fun. So let's try a couple here. So I bash this in. I'm trying a new way of recording, so we'll see how it goes. But this is my clean. Going through a Trainer YBA1 Mod 1 out of an IR of I believe a 212 cab. And I quite like it, so that's my clean. Now let's try some of the things on here. So there is just straight up, let's go to that 808 I was talking about there. So I've just got all the knobs pointed to the top here. Right? It's got that tube screamer kind of sound to it, which is what it's going for. And then say you get this pedal, you like that sound, and you get yourself a real 808, well, then you've got all the other options on here for this thing to do other things. And for me, that's kind of perfect, because every overdrive pedal, whether it's a boost, whether it's, a crunch pedal kind of idea, Marshall in a box sort of things, they're all going to sound different through your amp. So if you try a pedal in a guitar store, you take it home, they had a Fender Princeton that you got to try it through, but you've got, like a Plexi reissue or like an AC-15 or something like. This isn't going to sound the same through it. So it lets you try a bunch of stuff, right? So that's their 808. Now, I wouldn't use it that way. The way that I use something like a tube screamer, and we can do this with this, I turn the tone up a bit, gain way down, volume up. And I would use it more like that. I wouldn't set it that way for some of these other ones, right? So let's try crunch. I mean, that doesn't sound bad, but I probably have the gain a little higher with that volume down. Completely different sound through the same pedal. Right? Now, my intention was, I'll switch back to that 808, switch to that setting there, basically turn this into a clean-ish boost. Back to my clean. Running through my pedal board down here, I turn on my overdrive pedal. This is a Joyo Torrent I've got on the floor that I've kind of switched to, which I'll do a different video on that later. Right, that's how I would use an 808, right? That's how I use an 808. I've got an 808 on my board, and I really like that I can do that on here. And like you heard, I switch over to the crunch, and it's completely different. There's a bunch of other settings. Let's noon all these again. Let's just switch over Riotor. Back to the crunch. Not the most different, but they are different. It lets you try a bunch of overdrives. And again, your amp is going to sound different using this pedal than mine. It just is, right? If I switch over my single coil. Whew, I got some dirty power going. But that to me sounds great. All of these sounds, I don't have a noise gate or anything going, so just so you get the idea. Ooh, that is bass heavy. Right, completely different again. Now, they also have just a boost. Hopefully that's what I have it set to. Right, the pedal isn't really adding its own character. I'm just using it to slam the front end of the amp. And this thing is cheaper than a lot of pedals that only offer a clean boost. Now, a lot of those pedals are going to take up less real estate, so they've got their merits, don't get me wrong, but oh boy, having that built in with everything else that this has, like I said, I think if you're looking for your first overdrive pedal, this will let you try a bunch of different sounds. This lets you, even, I think this is like Joyo's. Right? One over. Just completely different sounds. That one's a little louder, eh? Yeah, you get a lot of fun settings, fun sounds to try out. And all in one convenient little box that, like you said, if you retire it from, you know what, I love the overdrive one setting, which is based off of a very famous yellow pedal, and you get that, well then you set this thing over to the B boost on it and use this as a clean boost, and now you've got two overdrive flavors on your board, and this overdrive doesn't just vanish and doesn't become a paperweight, or you don't have to sell it off. You can just keep using this for different sounds after you add to your collection. But again, how do you know that you want like an OD1 or an 808 or all these other pedals that this is emulating until you try them through your amp with your guitar in even a jam setting. Because I've used pedals, for example, I'm going to do a video on this guy soon, Joyo Uzi. It does not suit my band. I love the sound of the Uzi. I took it to a rehearsal, didn't fit. Even though I liked it for just me personally as like sitting in this chair playing around through my amp, in my rehearsal, didn't fit. So sometimes that just happens and you don't know until you've tried it. And this lets you try a whole bunch of stuff. And I think that is worth its weight in gold, especially if you just picked up your first tube amp. Again, if you have, a Boss Katana, a Cambridge 50 from Vox, that kind of thing, I don't know if this is going to really be something you should have on your short list, but if you've picked up, an AC-15, a deluxe reverb, a DSL, that kind of thing, and you're like, okay, I got my first tube amp, how do I manipulate the sound beyond just plugging my guitar straight in? This can be just a great investment out the gate because it's pretty darn cheap on its own. Like if it was one of the pedals that it has built in, it'd be considered a pretty inexpensive pedal. But the fact that it has all those pedals kind of in one and lets you try a bunch of different sounds, yeah, amazing little box. Joyo, awesome job. But, my opinion, I'm a bit biased because I do sell Joyo products, but I would definitely recommend checking this out. Please check your local dealer first, but if not, Amazon generally has these as well. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by, and look forward to more pedals. Talk to you later.